it's your girl Nick, and welcome back to my channel where we're not quite homesteading, but we're pretty darn close. Thank you for stopping by again, and if this is your first time here, thank you for tuning in. I would love it if you would subscribe and share with your friends. Today I am piggybacking off of another video that I did, an interior design video about practical kitchen design tips when you cannot do a renovation. So today I am following up on that video with another interior design tip. Today we're back in the kitchen, but we're going to talk specifically about how to choose the right countertops for your lifestyle, for your kitchen. And this could apply actually to other areas. It could apply to your bathroom. You could have custom tabletops made and things like that, but we're going to talk specifically about the kitchen today. Before we get into that, I am going to let you know that I'm going to link to that previous video. I'll put an info card here, and then I'll also link to it down below in the description. So without further ado, let's get into it. The reason I am doing this follow-up video is because in the first video we talked about things that you could do in your kitchen that are not necessarily on the lines of a full-on renovation. So that was really just a lot of things that you can do that are purely cosmetic, fairly inexpensive, and easy to do for the DIYer. Even if you're not a DIYer, if you have a contractor or even a handy person, these were items that were easy to do in your own home without spending a fortune. Now, one of the things that we did talk about in that video was countertops. So let's say you can't do a full-on renovation, but you do want to make a pretty big change. In my own kitchen, which we're going to turn around and look at again, I'm going to use it as an example. In my own kitchen, it's a fairly new house, so we were not interested in changing out any of the cabinets. I'm looking in the kitchen right now, that's why you guys see me going like this. We were not interested in changing out any of the cabinets. If you caught that kitchen tour, you saw that we did a lot of those smaller things like adding hardware, changing out some of the fixtures, painting pantry doors, painting the walls, like things like that make a really big difference. But what made the hugest difference in functionality and in aesthetics in our kitchen was switching out the countertop in our island. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because even though it's not a full renovation, it can get expensive. And so if you make a change, you want to make sure that you are making the right change, that your money is being very well spent, and that you're going to be happy with your final product. The best way, of course, to do that is to work with an interior designer who will make sure that all of your needs are met, especially the function and the appearance, and we're going to stay within your budget. However, you can also do this on your own when you go to. So I'm going to give you a few of my top tips as an interior designer, what I look for when it comes to replacing your countertops. So here we are in my kitchen, and of course this is real life, so naturally I'm cooking, and it actually smells really, really amazing in here. But this is a close-up of the back side of my kitchen. And as you can see, I have granite back there. That is the granite that came with the house. It is the builder grade granite. It is probably a level 2 granite, which we'll get into a little bit later. Most of the options I'm going to talk to you guys about do have different levels, specifically the stones. So back there is the granite that came in the house. Now, that is fine. I don't dislike it. I don't love it. And the only reason I don't love it is because, as I said, it came in the house, and most of the time in builder homes, the countertops will be the same every third or fourth home. So I can walk into any of my neighbors' homes and I might see that same counter. As many of you know, if you've been here before, you know that I'm a nonconformist. I don't necessarily want to have anything that looks like anyone else's. Now, in that same kitchen tour, I talked about my counter, my island, And I showed you guys how the island was initially, the entire kitchen was that same granite. All the this island here was the same granite that you see over here on the back side. The reason we decided to change out the countertops in the island was that we were going to change the actual island. If you caught that video, you saw that in our previous kitchen there was a stair step. So right here, the counter came up to about so high, and then it went back down. And it just was not very functional for me because I cook every day. So what I did instead was just decided to knock that down and make the space more functional. And so what you really want to take into account is functionality. You want to think about how you actually use your kitchen. So for instance, do you cook a lot? If you cook a lot like I do, you want something that's durable. You want something that's going to be non-porous. Of course, you want it to be beautiful, but we'll talk about that later. Do you entertain a lot? Do you have kids who maybe need to use that space? The space needs to have dual purpose. They eat there, they do homework there, they do crafts there. Things like this will help to determine what is best for your particular situation. Now, lifestyle is the number one consideration, not affordability, not appearance, because those two we can get to once we address functionality. If it's not functional, it's not going to work for you long term. So that's the first thing. But like I said, we also want it to be pretty. We want it to be like, if you're going to do it, right? So appearance is the second thing to keep in mind. You know, you want to choose something that's not going to break the bank, but that's also going to fit in with the rest of your home, which our home is very open concept. This entire area, it feeds into the breakfast room here in front of me, the living room, family room over here to the side, and it's just all one big open area. So this island needed to fit with all of that, because you don't want to have to change all of that just because you chose something for your island that just doesn't feel like it flows with the home. So that's a big deal as well. Then, so you notice I told you that back here is standard granite, and it has quite a pattern on it. That same granite was here in the island before, and I didn't want to necessarily have the same thing on both sides. This is a concept that's kind of born out of commercial kitchens. It's born out of commercial kitchens, and it can be very, very difficult to do, which is why you should leave it to the professionals. But it's just very difficult to find something that goes with something that you already have that doesn't distract from the overall look of your space. So for me, doesn't distract from the overall look of your space. So for me, what it came down to was finding what I really, really liked, and then working my way backwards, knowing that I wanted to do a two-tone sort of deal. We went with what we went with, which I will show you in full screen in just a minute, because I also wanted this island, now that it's flattened out and that it's huge, like literally I could lay across it. I really wanted that to be a focal point of our great room, because kitchens are the heart of the home, whether you're cooking it or not. That's where people just naturally gravitate to. So I really wanted it to stand out. I really wanted it to be like a showpiece. And that's what it is at this point. Like when it's clean, it really is a showstopper. It really does, showcase these Cambria quartz countertops. So that's the deal about appearance. moving on to what you may think is the most important thing, and that is affordability. Affordability is absolutely one of the most important things, because you don't want to, like I said before, you don't want to break the bank. And as a designer, I'm not about having my clients spend all of their money. I don't want you to be house poor. I don't want you to be like, I want you to love your home, but I want you to have some money left over to actually enjoy it, okay? So just to recap, the most important things are first and foremost function, secondly, appearance, and lastly, affordability. And the reason that I put affordability last is because whatever choice you make, there are different affordability levels. Granite has grades. You can choose a grade that's like a builder grade. That grade right there is probably a grade 2. There's one grade under that. There's a grade 1. And then of course they can go up to a 6. Grade 6 of course is the most expensive. Grade 1, the least expensive. That's in granite. This right here is a level 1 granite. It's still very pretty. I use this in a client project. This is Dallas white. Very pretty against white cabinetry. Very pretty against some wood tones. Nice. If you choose granite, there's gonna be an option that fits your budget. So that's why affordability is the very last thing that I tell you to take into account. This is Cambria quartz. This one is a level 2. It just so happens that the one I have, there's another one, it's a level 2 as well. They are very close, very close. And the one that I have here on my counter is also very, very close, but it's a level 1. That just kind of worked out by accident, but it just goes to show you that you can find what you want at an affordable price that will fit within your budget. Now, let's talk about the different actual surface options that you have to choose from and why I chose Cambria quartz. I chose Cambria quartz. It's my favorite because it's eco-friendly and a sustainable option. We'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so here we are. I'm sitting at the island and you can see this is all just our center island, and you can see what I was speaking of earlier when I said that it opens up into the rest of the home. So it needs to be able to fit within the overall aesthetic. You wouldn't want something here that just didn't, flow with the family room. Let's talk about other options for really any type of kitchen. Lowest to, let's try to do lowest to highest. So the lowest possible options, 2 of them, laminate / Formica. Those have come a very, very long way. They're very, very affordable, and they look a lot better than they did in the 70s and the 80s. So don't be afraid of that, especially if you don't use your kitchen a lot, or if your kitchen is tucked away and you can find something that looks like a solid surface, because they really do now, but you don't necessarily need anything that's super duper durable. You don't cook very much, you don't entertain, your kitchen is ducked off, maybe you don't have kids, anything like that. Now, if any of those things are true, you want to stay away from laminates, you want to stay away from Formica, because they are very, very prone to damage. Heat, water, anything is going to damage those laminates, and you're going to end up spending more money in the long run, because you have to replace them anyway, or you have to have them repaired anyway. So, just stay away from them based on your lifestyle. Now, along the same lines, I know you've seen this. If you're my age, or actually if you're 30 or older, you've seen tile countertops in bathrooms and in kitchens. I would say I would put tile maybe a step above the laminate, simply because the tile itself is probably going to be a little bit more durable, but it's very susceptible to cracking and a lot of the same problems you're going to have with Formica. So again, very inexpensive option. Actually, I would say if you're going to do tile, I would rather see you do Formica, because the options are just endless. So if you're going to have the same level of functionality, go with something that is actually going to look really great. So that's that, tile. The next thing, I don't know if I can do this in order of lowest to highest, because the next thing I want to talk about is butcher block. Butcher block is beautiful. Oh, let's back up to laminates and tile because I do want to talk about eco-friendliness and sustainability. The Formica is probably okay because, well, both of them are probably okay because many of the materials that they're made out of can be recycled on some level. Not necessarily the best materials like particle boards and MDFs and things that are press board. Those are not necessarily the best materials to have in your home with off gases and things like that. But they're not the worst in terms of sustainability, in terms of like recycling or things like that. Moving on, butcher block, beautiful. In fact, if I didn't cook as much as I did, I probably would have considered butcher block for our kitchen. I actually used AI to create sort of a rendering of what an all-black kitchen like mine would look like with butcher block countertops, and I'm going to share that with you guys. I think it looks pretty slick. The only thing I would say is that I would have to not have stainless steel appliances. I would have to have them look like they're built into the cabinetry because stainless steel plus all black everything plus butcher block is a bit much for me. There's a lot going on in a kitchen in a small space. But butcher block countertops are really, really beautiful. They can be expensive for really thick ones and for certain patterns and all of those things. But again, you can find pretty much anything for your price. Just know your budget, right? And stick within that. The only thing about butcher block is it is, for me, not sustainable. It is sustainable from an environmental standpoint, absolutely. But from an actual living with it standpoint, it's going to require a lot of sealing. If something happens, it gets hot, you can of course sand it down a little bit, or a skilled craftsperson can take care of that for you. But to have to reseal something every year, every couple of years, it's just not, for a person like me, is not sustainable. So that goes to functionality, which is why I did not choose butcher block for my kitchen, but it is absolutely stunning in my opinion. Now, like all solid surface countertops, they're probably going to be the best choice. I think the thing is to decide between like different types of stones, quartz, Caesar stone. There's so many different manufacturers of stone out there. The granite, as I said, is a really great choice. And it's good for cooks. Don't get me wrong, it is good for cooks. The thing is that most people don't realize that you cannot clean granite with any old thing. Like, you have to be careful what you clean it with. Nothing abrasive, nothing acidic. And then it also has to be resealed ever so often. Not a ton, but it does need to be resealed. And if you're using your countertops a lot, again, like I do, it'll have to be resealed even sooner than, like, say, a normal person who doesn't cook 2-3 times a day. So, and then, like I said, the options on granite, there's a lot of options. However, the reality is a lot of people are going to end up with granite that looks very, very similar because of the price points. Most people are in that mid-level, so that's what they're going to choose. Quartz. Let's talk about it. I love them. This is Cambria quartz that I chose Cambria because it is eco-friendly. It's made, yes, with stone, but there's also a resin in it, so that if you ever get a crack, you ever get anything happening to this countertop, they have craftspeople that can come and fix that on the spot. I've actually had it done once, I think. I had it done once, and I was absolutely amazed. In terms of sustainability, you can't beat that. Now, that can't happen really with granite. They just would have to fill it with an epoxy or something. I don't really even know how that works because it's not what I do. I just choose the pretty things. But they just would have to fill it with something and seal it. And again, with sustainability, with the eco-friendly and sustainability piece, I'm looking over there at my granite. That's why you see me doing it. But it is a natural stone that is mined from the earth. So once that stone that's over there on my countertop was quote unquote picked, once it's been mined from the earth, that's pretty much it. That's it. So from an eco standpoint, I don't know all the details on how these things are done, how long it takes the rocks to form and all of those things. I'm sure I could Google it, but I would get lost down a rabbit hole, I'll be honest with you, because those things are really interesting to me. Back to the difference between the granite and the quartz. Yes, this has stone in it, but it also has resin. So this will last me a lifetime. The other thing about this is supply chain. So that granite over there, I don't know where it came from, but I do know that this countertop is from Cambria. It's made in the USA. It's manufactured in the USA. As a matter of fact, this one was actually made right here, kind of in my neighborhood. Like literally, they picked it up at the showroom, and it's maybe 15, 20 minutes away from here. So I like knowing that it's made in the United States. I like knowing that I can have it for a lifetime. They can come fix it. And if they can't fix it, they will replace it. And it can be recycled, of course. So can granite to a degree. It has to be crushed and they use it for other things. But, this was my choice because I don't have to worry about heat. I don't have to worry about water. I don't have to worry about damage, any of those things. I'm not going to talk much about specialty materials because I don't recommend them in residential projects. And by specialty materials, I mean things like stainless steel, concrete. They're beautiful. Honed concrete is beautiful. Could fit in perfectly in, say, a home with industrial decor, in a loft, something like that. But in just a normal application like this, I would not recommend it. Of course, the stainless steel, both the stainless steel and the concrete are easy to take care of, very eco-friendly. The concrete does have to be sealed. Stainless steel, again, it could work in an industrial space, but the best thing about stainless steel is that it conducts heat easily, it conducts cold easily. It's hypo everything. I mean, it's stainless steel, so that's why you see that used in commercial kitchens, and I think that that's where it belongs. That's where it stays. Although back in the day, stainless steel appliances were only in commercial kitchens, and look at them now. But I just think that it takes a very special type of residential project to be able to pull those two off. The last one that I'm not going to talk about a lot, but that people actually do love, is marble. I don't recommend marble for the home cook because it is very, very susceptible to staining. Like if you set a glass on it that has cranberry juice in it, and there's a dot of cranberry juice that comes out of that glass, that red dot is going to be on your counter forever. So, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not really that much. People love marble because it's great when you're like for baking. And that's why, going back to this whole idea of having multiple types of countertops, the granite back there, the quartz up here, you will see that in like bakeries or like I said, commercial kitchens. You might see stainless steel in one area because they're doing a lot of food prep and they need things to be easily cleaned and very sterile and everything. But then the marble is great for making pastries because it stays cold and things like that. But if that's not your thing, have to be more practical. Those are three that are beautiful, but that I would not recommend for residential projects. Really quickly, let me just show you the full spectrum of the kitchen. So here we go. Here's my kitchen from one end to the other end. And here is a view of how it all fits in to the rest of our home. Now, I want to be clear that this is not at all an advertisement. I'm going to show you another view real quick. So here is another view. This is literally what you see when you walk into our home. That's what you see. And so you can see how that island, even though everything is all black, that island stands out and it is literally like the centerpiece of the room. So, even though everything else, the table is black and white, we have a ton of color, but when you walk in and that's what you see, the kitchen is clearly the place to be, right? So that whole flow that I just showed you, that is why I have appearance as the second most important thing in choosing your countertops. Because when it comes to affordability, we can find something within your budget, always. So it's just a matter of finding. Sometimes it's finding a needle in a haystack, and sometimes it's really, really easy. But functionality first, appearance second, affordability third. Just be very, very honest about budget. If you're working with an interior designer, especially be very honest about your budget so that we can help you to choose what's going to work best for you. There was one other thing that I did want to say about choosing countertops. Whatever you choose to go with, when you pull out your old countertops, please ask your contractors to recycle the materials, preferably donate those materials to organizations like Habitat for Humanity, where they can reuse them in homes for people who might not otherwise be able to afford a home. So don't just have them take it and dump it someplace. Ask if they will recycle it for you. If not, ask if they will leave it with you, and you can find a company that will actually come and pick it up and recycle it. You guys, this video has been a long time coming, and there's so much more I could talk about with regard to kitchen design. There's so much more I could talk about with regard to interior design of your entire home, actually. But if you like this type of content, you have to let me know. Let me know down in the comments. And also, if you've gone through a renovation and had to redo your countertops or your cabinets or anything like that, let me know in the comments and let us know how that went for you and what you chose. I would love to know what, most people are looking at. I feel like a lot of people are going to say granite, but, I just would like to know what you're doing in your homes these days. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and share with your friends. And until next time, you guys, I'm gonna go finish this food because I'm a little bit hungry now. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.